And this virtual meeting is to be webcast. Members are reminded of the need to unmute before speaking. I'd like to remind everyone present that this meeting is broadcast live to the internet or filmed and will be capable of repeated viewings. Please could I also remind members of the public who have registered to speak that they'll be admitted to the meeting at the appropriate time. Please also be aware that if technical difficulties interrupt the meeting that cannot be overcome, I will need to adjourn the meeting. I'd like to say welcome to everyone this evening. I'm Councillor Jo Sher-Bernier, and I'll be chairing this meeting. I'll be a voting chairman. Welcome to councillors and members of the public. I'd like to introduce our principal planning officer. So is that?
That'll be Graham Courtney, Chairman.
Graham Courtney, and our Democratic Services Officer, Jackie Lather.
No, she's not here. It's me, Adrian.
Oh, Adrian. Yeah. Oh, Adrian. Yep. Oh, sorry. Okay. So are there any other Democratic officers?
There's Rebecca Perrin here, but she's here just to help with the Zoom stuff.
Right. Okay. So message to members. Members, I'd like to advise you that during each application, if you lose your signal, turn off your screens or be seen to leave the meeting for a brief period. Then you will not be included in the vote on such application that is being presented. Advice to public speakers here tonight. This can be found in the agenda, and I'd like to remind speakers that they have 3 minutes to speak. So general advice to people attending the meeting is attached. Item 3, minutes, pages 9 to 16. Can we confirm the minutes of the last meeting of the subcommittee?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah.
Any apologies for absence?
Yes, Chairman, we have apologies from Councillor Sunga and apologies from lateness from Councillor Heap.
Councillor Heap, yes. Item 5, declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest?
None that I can see, Chairman.
Any other business?
No other business, Chairman.
So I'd just like to say that the policy briefing, planning policy briefing note is attached. Item 8 on site visits. Members are reminded that for the duration of the coronavirus pandemic, as decided at the group leaders meeting of the 24th of June 2020, no member site visits will be conducted. Therefore, any planning application deferred for a site visit at an Area Plan South subcommittee will be automatically referred to the District Development Management Committee for determination. So item 10, planning application EPF/2388/20 Pine Lodge, 307 Vicarage Lane, Chigwell, IG7 6LS, pages 25 to 30.
Thank you, Chair. I will be presenting this one. I'm just going to share my screen.
Thank you.
Can members see my screen?
Yes. Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So this application is for a single-story rear extension, and I will take members through the slide. So this is the existing and proposed site plan. Members can see the 4-meter proposed rear extension to the right-hand side. This is the existing and proposed ground floor plan. These are the existing elevations. And these are the proposed elevations. There's no change to the front elevation. The main change is to the side and to the rear. This is the existing and proposed roof plan. This is a bird's eye view. This is from a different angle. The merits of the scheme are set out in the agenda. Officers are recommending it for permission with 3 conditions: the standard time limit, the plan numbers, and materials to match the main house. Thank you, Chair. That's the end of this presentation.
Thank you. Well, we have a speaker for this application, Asif Shah. Are the speakers?
Yeah, they're there,
Here?
Chairman. Yeah.
Sorry, may I speak now or?
Asif Shah, the objector, yes.
Yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to voice my concerns. The main problem I have is at the moment, all the houses are aligned and no one's blocking or infringing any sunlight or views. The block plan that was submitted is incorrect for Lockerbie and Eastwood. And the neighbours Eastwood also informed the council that the block plan and location plan is incorrect for both properties. So I have serious doubts on this. And if this extension goes through, it's detrimental effect on my patio and seating area, especially during COVID and everything, with the sunlight. Now, all I will have a view is of a block wall and the quality of life. I would request a site visit. I do understand during the COVID situation, but I would prefer one. And plus, on the block plans, there is an outer building that's not on there. And also the extensions that have been approved are not on the block plan and the location plan as well. So it doesn't give you a true reflection of the extension that is requesting. And the other thing that's come to my is that Pine Lodge is using the extension for commercial purposes as a dance studio. So that's something else that's come to light for me. And this is the reason why I'm seriously objecting regarding this application. And the first application, which was approved by the council, I received 0 correspondence regarding it. So, the first one is they're already constructing and they're in the middle of constructing. I can't do nothing about it. But I find it very strange that I received 0 correspondence until Pine Lodge actually started constructing. My main concern is that the block plans and the location plans do not have the correct for Lockerbie or Eastwood. And this would have a serious infringement on my views and the sunlight, especially as all the properties are aligned at this present moment.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you. Ma'am.
Mr. Shah. We have the applicant who would like to speak, Sriram Srinivasan.
Yes. Good evening, Chairman, and good evening, everyone. And
Thank you. Can I just remind you have 3 minutes?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Thank you for the opportunity to be able to present to this forum here. The extension request that we have filed for a single story rear extension, ma'am, is essentially for an extension of our kitchen cum dining area. And the way the design is proposed is a very simple, straightforward extension that allows us to kind of, enhance the kitchen and the dining space. And we believe that to a certain extent, it does not affect the street scenario in any way, because it's farther away from the road on Daleside Gardens towards the further side of the house. And based on the nature of the simple design and the scale of the proposed development that we're requesting, we believe that it does not in any way, in our opinion, compromise the living conditions in terms of casting a shadow or infringing the light or blocking the views of our neighbors, and that's really what we believe. I heard one of the comments by Mr. Shah here that we are talking about using this as a commercial dance studio. I just want to make a correction for the record here. My wife is a dance teacher. She learns classes. She gets tutored online by students in India. So talking about is not a commercial dance studio where we're going to be inviting people to be taught and things like that. And instead it is her own personal space where she is practicing her art. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record here now. So based on the way we have proposed the very simple design, we kindly request the committee to consider this proposal and grant permission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, any comments?
Can't see any. Oh, Councillor Lyon. Chairman.
Thank you,
Councillor
Chairman.
Lyon.
Thank you very much. This is Chigwell Village by the actual information, but it's very close to Grange Hill, which is my ward. I noticed Councillor Sunder is not here this evening. There has been quite a lot of extensive building on this side already, and this is just adding to that development. I'm just wondering if councillors are minded to approve this, whether we can restrict any further development on the site. Also, it is a corner site, so it is quite visible. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Councillor Sandler.
Councillor Sandler.
Thank you, Chairman. It's commented that it will affect the street scene, but if you look at the front of the house, that is normally the street scene that people refer to when they're talking about street scene, and you can't see the extension at the back from the front, so I can't see how that can be part of an objection. I'd also like to ask the officer exactly how many metres back this new extension is going to go, and I presume the officers have done their normal work to confirm that it's not going to block any light. If that could be confirmed, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, Councillor. Do you mean the separation distance from the boundary?
Yes, to the neighbour, to the neighbouring house. The complainant was saying that it was going to block his light and cause him nothing but a big brick wall to look at. How far back is that large brick wall going to go, and how much will it actually affect him?
So the depth of the proposed rear extension will be 4 meters, and there's a separation distance of 1.1 meters from the boundary. And in officers' view, we don't consider there to be any significant overshadowing or loss of light that justifies the reason for refusal.
Thank you.
Councillor Heap would like to speak. Chair.
Councillor Heap.
No, he wouldn't.
And Councillor Jennings, please.
All right, thank you, Chairman. I wonder if the planning officer could comment on the assertions made by the objector about the plans, which included, I think, Eastwood and Lockerbie houses, whether or not the plans that we've seen are correct or are they incorrect?
Sure. I'm just going to share my screen just for this. Can members see my screen?
Yes, we can.
So the concern here is the neighbors' extensions are not reflected on the block plan. These are taken from an ordnance survey map. Ordnance survey maps are updated when there's a significant change in the area. So it would be unreasonable to ask the applicants to survey the neighbors' extensions and plot them. So that's why it wouldn't be shown on the block plan. So is that clear?
Can I just, sorry, apologies, I just come in. The neighbour is actually shown on the ground floor plan. If Mohammed, if you'd like to just show that. So you can see here the just adjacent to the lounge, just roughly where the measurement is shown. That line indicates the neighbour's rear wall, which isn't shown on the block plan, admittedly.
Any comments?
Chair, we need Councillor Murray would like to speak, and I'd like to speak afterwards, please. And I think
Okay,
that's the last
Councillor
two.
Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Jennings has asked one of my questions. I'm not completely convinced that I was satisfied with the answer, but we've had the answer, so I'll take that on board. My second question, because I know it's not directly related to the planning application, but because it was raised in the public meeting, it was said that previous works, the neighbour wasn't notified. Would that be because it was permitted development, or is the officer able to make a comment or explain that assertion? Thank you.
Yes, our system do show that the neighbour was consulted on the previous application. No comments were received for that application.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, that answers the question. Thank you.
Councillor Rackham.
Thank you, Chair. The objector asked a question whether he would be allowed to have a site visit. And I understand, obviously, at this time we can't. So I'd just like to ask the officers if there is any way that this could happen, and what would it achieve if there was a site visit, please? Thank you.
In officer's view, we have sufficient information to make a sound judgment. We have the site pics. The site is visible from the side street, so you can see the rear gardens and the elevations of both properties. So, in officer's view, we have sufficient information to make a sound judgment.
So there's no reason to refer that to the DDMC.
Councillor Kaufman would like to speak now, and also Councillor Wixley.
Councillor Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Can I ask the officer what is the height of this proposed extension? And would this property benefit from any further permitted development rights? That's been asked before. And I'd like to be clear whether this was it, or every application has to come in on its merits. And if it comes to a committee, that's fine. but I wouldn't want permitted development then to come in and extend it further, because 4 metres is quite significant on the edge extension. But so permitted development, is that a possibility could come back further, and how high? And is this a flat roof extension that's proposed, and how high is it, please?
I might come in if this is okay. I'm not sure if Mohammed has that to hand, but actually I did take a measurement myself earlier in preparation for this evening. The height, or it is a flat roof extension. The height I measured off is 3.3 metres to the top of that roof. In terms of permitted development, there is a limited amount more they could do. I'm not entirely convinced there's much more they could do on this property, given the previous extensions and former extensions to the dwelling. There may be some, so we could, if members felt it was necessary and justified, remove permitted development rights just to have further control. I'm not convinced there's a huge amount more they can do, but without fully studied it, I couldn't say there's definitely nothing more they can do.
Could I come back then, please, on that?
Yes.
And I'm assuming that there is no access to this flat roof. This cannot be made into a terrace or whatever. That would be the subject of a new planning application if anyone wanted to access this roof.
That is correct. We do often add a condition just restricting that use, which actually I can see we haven't added here. We tend to add it just to be on the safe side, so we certainly could add that condition on. But in actuality, yes, they would need planning permission to create a roof terrace. It starts getting slightly more grey if they started just sitting out on it without creating an actual terrace, but certainly that is a standard condition which actually isn't on here but possibly should be, so we'd be happy to add that standard flat roof condition restricting its use.
If others agree, I would suggest that.
Right. Okay, so that's a condition that we could vote on.
I think there was a general agreement on that. I saw a lot of nodding heads, Chairman. So can we take it as read that it's agreed?
Yes, happy to do that. Any other speakers?
Yes, we have Councillor Wixley and then Councillor Pond.
Councillor Wixley, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I have to say I do find this a bit confusing, because the drawing that I'm looking at on the agenda on page 25 appears to be different from the drawings which we've been shown tonight. So I'm assuming that the drawing I'm looking at on page 25 excludes previous extensions. This is why it's a bit baffling. And also the objectors have mentioned another building within the grounds, which isn't shown either on this drawing or hasn't been shown to us tonight. So I do find it a bit difficult to make a decision on this because of all this confusion. And I don't know if the officer could help out on that.
Officer, Courtney.
Yes, I can answer this one.
Thank you.
So the mapping system on the agenda is from our own system. So it wouldn't have the current extensions that they have been carried out. Hence why on their plans, they've shown the works that they've carried out to their property. And in terms of the outbuilding, this was raised to us during the consultation period. It's not part of this application. So we're just considering the single-story rear extension. And we can raise it as an enforcement complaint to investigate it further. Is that clear?
Can I just come back on that, Chairman?
Yes.
Does this other building which is referred to, which isn't shown on the plans, and you've now mentioned possible enforcement action, does that in itself have any influence on this, what's been considered tonight? It seems to me that it may do.
Who'd like to comment on that?
I don't mind. I wouldn't say it would. I wouldn't say that it would have any impact. It is a detached outbuilding. I don't think we're talking about necessarily enforcement action. Mohammed's just referring to an enforcement investigation. Obviously, we don't know at this stage the size of the building, what the building is used for. We wouldn't and couldn't at this stage say that what's been built on site isn't lawful. It may well be under Class E. As we know, you can build fairly large structures under Class E. However, we could investigate that to see whether it is lawful or not. But I wouldn't say it has any impact on this, because it would either be lawful and therefore we have no control over it, or it would be unlawful and therefore shouldn't be taken into account, because in itself it would need planning permission.
Right, is that clear? Is that fine? So next speaker, is it Councillor
Pond.
Councillor Pond or Councillor Sandler?
We've got Councillor Pond, and I'm not sure.
And then Councillor Heap, I think.
Yeah, I keep seeing Councillor Heap go up and down, so I'm not sure if he wants to speak or not. So if you could clarify.
Okay. So we'll take Councillor Pond, please.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I'm imperfectly acquainted with Vicarage Lane, but as I remember it, the levels of the land rise between the objector's house and the application site. I don't know whether the officers can enlighten me on that, because when the objectors referred to looking out on a plain brick wall, that may have been something to do with the levels. And the second point I'd make is I agree entirely with Councillor Kaufman that we should condition no use of the flat roof, and we should also remove all remaining permitted development rights, because it strikes me, looking at the size and shape of that plot, it is already, or with this application certainly will reach the limit of what can reasonably be accommodated on this corner plot.
Thank you. Councillor Sandler?
Councillor Heap next.
Councillor Heap, sorry. Councillor Heap, please.
Thank you, Jim. Just a general dissatisfaction with the state of drawings, because there does seem to be some query about whether they're actually accurate or not. And in terms of what Mr. Courtney said about the building in the back, it may well have been legal at one point, because it might have been 5 metres away from the house, therefore not part of the habitable area, but building the extension might bring it into a habitable area. So what happens about that? It's sort of a vague area. And if it's within a metre of the fence and it's 3 metres high, does that mean it's unlawful?
In terms of its proximity to fence, absolutely. There is, as you know, a restriction on height if an outbuilding is within 2 metres of a boundary. So that will be a factor that would be looked at if we investigate that outbuilding. With regards to the 5 metres, that actually isn't a requirement any longer. That was removed from the GPDO a few years ago. So unfortunately, you can actually build an outbuilding almost touching, as long as it's not actually physically touching the main dwelling. It can be built right up to a dwelling and still be classed as an outbuilding.
Next speaker, Councillor Sandler.
No, I didn't think he wanted to speak, Chairman.
I don't.
I thought you had your yellow hand up earlier.
Chairman, I didn't get an answer on the levels.
Who was that, please?
I didn't get the answer on the levels.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah. I can answer this one. Yeah, there are differences in land levels. Officers have considered this, and our assessment is set out in the agenda. We do not feel there's a significant impact to justify a reason for refusal that will stand up at appeal.
Does that answer your question?
It answers my question. The levels are rising, but of course it's a matter of opinion as to whether it would justify a refusal.
Right. So, no. Are there any other speakers?
Not that I can see, Chair.
No.
Right. So we don't have to vote on the condition earlier, as it was a generalised agreement.
Mhm.
So I think I can take this application to a formal vote.
Chairman, sorry, can I just interrupt? Can I ask a point on the conditions, if I may? I've had a recent issue with working times where there were no restrictions on working times. I'm just wondering whether we should put a restriction on working times Saturdays and Sundays, or whether that is an automatic condition that would apply.
Officer.
I'm happy to take this. Yeah, it isn't. It's not a automatic condition. There are guidelines that builders follow, but from what I understand, they are purely guidelines. Anything else is dealt with by environmental health in terms of noise nuisance. But as you're all aware, we do have conditions restricting times for building works, construction works to take place. We don't tend to put them on household or extensions because obviously they are fairly restrictive, but by all means, if there are concerns and we do wish to impose that, it is an expectation people comply with that anyway, so there would be no harm in adding that condition.
So there are already conditions that Councillor Lyne has is concerned about.
I'd second.
You second it. Okay. So should we go for a vote on the on that condition of building that is timed and managed so that it is compatible with weekends?
Councillor Wixley wishes to speak, Chairman.
Councillor Wixley.
Yeah, Chairman, it's not unusual for us to have a standard condition which covers working time during the week as well as at weekends and holidays. I've seen it so many times that it's just a standard feature, and we just need to add that to the conditions.
So, Councillor Courtney, can we just add that to the conditions?
Not a councillor yet, but
Sorry,
absolutely, it is.
officer.
It's okay. Yeah, no. As Councillor Wixley said, yeah, there's a standard condition. It restricts times throughout the week, weekdays. I cannot remember off the top of my head what the actual times are. I can look them up if you need them, but it's sort of standard times Monday to Friday. It's sort of half day on a Saturday, and then it's no times on Sundays and bank holidays. If members are, I think, fairly familiar with the condition, but I can get those times if anybody needs it.
Okay, so we don't need to vote on that.
I don't think there's anyone who is against it, Chairman, unless they wish to raise their hand and say no. If not, we can just pass that. I think we can.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we've had all our questions, and we can go to the vote on this this application.
Yes, Chairman. I shall take the vote by rote. Okay.
Oh, apologies, sorry. Before we go to the vote,
Sorry.
there was, I think, a couple of members suggested the removal of permitted development rights as a condition. Can we just confirm whether that is a condition that we will be adding or voting on?
Well, that's been seconded by Councillor Pondle and Councillor Neville,
Yeah.
but do we need, is there anyone who does not wish to have this as a condition? And I can't see anyone who says no, Chairman. So again, we can add that in. Yep, I can't see anyone who says no, so we can add that in as another condition.
Okay, so with those extra conditions,
Okay. Take it to the vote, Chairman.
we can take it to the formal vote.
Yep.
Please.
Okay, thank you. Right, I shall call your name out, and if you can answer with your name first of all so the camera can get to you, and then say for, against or abstain. Councillor Heap, I'm not including you in this vote because you were late coming in, okay? Okay, Councillor Baldwin.
Councillor Baldwin, abstain.
Yeah. Councillor Beales.
Abstain.
Sorry, Councillor Beales?
Councillor Beales, abstain.
Sorry, thank you. Councillor Brooks.
Against.
Councillor Bob Jennings.
Councillor Bob Jennings, abstain.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Judy Jennings, against.
Councillor Kaufman.
Councillor Kaufman supports this application.
Councillor Lyon.
Councillor Lyon for the application.
Councillor Mead.
For the application.
Councillor Murray.
Councillor Murray against.
Councillor Neville.
Councillor Neville against.
Councillor Patel.
Patel for the application.
Councillor Chris Pond.
Chris Pond for.
Councillor Caroline Pond.
For.
Councillor Chris Roberts.
Councillor Chris Roberts against.
Councillor Deborah Roberts.
Councillor Deborah Roberts abstain.
Councillor Sandler.
Councillor Sandler supports the application.
Councillor Wixley.
Councillor Wixley abstains.
Councillor Rackham.
I'm for the application.
And Councillor Cher-Bernier.
Councillor Cher-Bernier against.
Okay, if you hang on, please. Right, there's 8 for, 6 against, and 5 abstentions. So it's been passed, Chairman.
So it looks like that application has been agreed.
Yep.
And we can move on to our next application this evening. Application number EPF/2794/20, site address 209D, High Road, Loughton, IG10, 1BB.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to share my screen. Can members see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this application, there's 2 elements to it. One is for the proposed canopy, and the second one is for the use of the rear garden. This is the location plan. The site is outlined in red. This is the existing and proposed site plan. This is the proposed canopy. This is a section view of the proposed canopy. So the highest point is 2.5 meters. The lowest is 2 meters. This is a 3D image. This is another view. These are pictures of the existing garden area. This is an aerial view. This is from a different angle. This is from a different angle. So the merits of the scheme are set out in the agenda. Officers are recommending this application subject to the 8 conditions set out in the agenda. And that's the end of the presentation.
Thank you. We have one speaker on this application, Craig Elliott.
Hello there.
Hello,
okay,
you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. So I'm speaking on behalf of the 4 adjoining properties. The past 7 years have been a battle to retain our peace and quiet within our own properties, having to object to repeated planning applications by Mowlands. I hope the committee understands the mental health and well-being point and stress the nuisance caused by this loss of amenity, which will be put on our daily lives. It's a quiet residential location, and we have back gardens that will be directly impacted by this large building and the customer use. The proposal of up to 40 to 50 covers, talking, clinking glasses, cutlery, and the alike from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. 7 days a week is incomprehensible and will result in serious loss of peace and enjoyment to our garden. The sound report is subjective and theoretical, loaded in favour of Mowlands and listed with the wording uncertainty, carried out in an empty garden during a pandemic with sound waves going in one direction. The location is an acoustic echo bowl with sound bouncing off the surrounding buildings. It does not replicate the noise of 40 to 50 patrons in situ. Suggestions for controlling customer noise and behaviour are unenforceable. The build canopy design is a massive overdevelopment. We are sure that it will be rejected if we propose similar in our own gardens. It will also need significant lighting for patrons and staff alike, which will be a pollutant in the darker months. I would question if any of you would like this monstrosity at the end of your garden. Previous similar applications to use the garden have been rejected. Independent Plan Inspectorate 2 years ago dismissing the appeal by reason of noise and other disturbances. Approval here would be a complete U-turn. This also sets a precedent. Other businesses, such as the last post in the High Road, have had use of outdoor applications rejected due to noise and disturbance it may have caused. I'd also like to point out that the design statement was only put on the website on the 9th of February. Our comments closed on the 8th of January. So we was not privy to this report when making our objections. And we would like to know why this was not added and why the plan officer neglected to inform us of its existence and was only noticed yesterday when we was preparing for this meeting. Finally, they are using COVID as a reason for something that they have sought for 7 years. During this world pandemic, our own back gardens have been a peaceful sanctuary and vital to our well-being. Something Design and Access Statement claims for their own patrons, and I quote, "A place to relax, contemplate, a garden within a garden." This would be absolute detriment to our own use of our own gardens. So that's we hope you'll reject on our behalf. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Members.
We have Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Jennings, please.
Thank you, Chairman. This small rear garden has never had permission to be used in any way by the customers. It is not a large open area around a licensed premises. It is not even a restaurant with rear access and no properties behind. This was originally a back garden, and it is completely surrounded by other normal-sized back gardens of family houses. Those families are distraught, and here is why. The noise from 8 a.m. in the morning onwards would be a severe disturbance to the back bedrooms and the gardens of the houses in Priory Road. The large canopy will be clearly visible and a blight on the natural green suburban scene of trees and gardens. An application for the use of garden space and doors into the garden was not only refused in 2018, but was even dismissed on appeal by the planning inspector. The present proposal is an even more intrusive overdevelopment, and it is contrary to the policy DBE9 of the adopted local plan. Missing from the conditions is a limit on the number of covers that it would be set out in the back garden, but no amount of conditions, enforceable or not, should make this application acceptable to the committee today. It was refused in 2018 and it should be refused again for the very same reasons. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes. Can we have Councillor Stephen Murray next, please?
Councillor Murray, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll keep my remarks fairly brief, but I would endorse everything that the ward member has said. I think Councillor Jennings put it very well and much better than I would. But the comments I would add, often planning applications in front of us are very nuanced and it's a balanced judgment. But the more I considered this, and I've read the report thoroughly, and I know the locations very well, there's no balance in this. I can't think of any reason why members could support this. To me, it's completely unacceptable for the arguments that Councillor Jennings has put forward. The conditions sound okay, and even they're not adequate, but they're completely unenforceable. We all know exactly what would happen. And to be blunt, it renders the use of the gardens for those affected residents in Priory Road. I would go as far as to say it would render the gardens unusable. I always try and put myself in the shoes of the applicants affected, and if I was living in those houses, I wouldn't be using my garden. At the time, Molan's were in their outer garden. So I completely agree with Councillor Jennings. Didn't have any difficulty in reaching a conclusion. It impacts far too much on the residents in Priory Road. The conditions are inadequate, and even if they were added to, they're unenforceable. And what we're effectively doing, if we were to say yes to this, is to render their gardens unusable. Because I would challenge any member that they would continue to use their garden if they were subjected to what they're going to be subjected to if we say yes. So I'm definitely going to vote no.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. Next speaker, please.
Councillor Stephen Neville, please. Chair.
Councillor Neville.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Yes, I think Councillor Judy Jennings put it very well. This back garden is so close to the houses, residential houses nearby, and while there's a condition which seems very reasonable on music not being played and all sorts of restrictions on that, you've got the voices. The voices of people do carry. I know where that is. I've seen it. I don't see any reason why this, having refused it before, we shouldn't on this occasion refuse it again. It is a more elaborate scheme than the one before, and I think it will have a detrimental impact on the residents that back onto it. It will affect their quality of living, and I think it's a non-starter as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Councillor Neville.
And we have Councillor Pond, please.
Councillor Pond, please.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I completely agree with what the ward member said, and I thought she put it very eloquently. And I wanted to quote from what the inspector said on a similar scheme just 2 years ago. He says there is a strong commercial influence on the high road to the front of the appeals site, where various shops and facilities are in place. However, during my inspection of the site's rear garden area, I experienced a quiet environment distinctly set away and apart and separate from the high road. Indeed, the predominant residential character of the rear garden's immediate surroundings were readily apparent at my inspection. There is, he says, because the rear gardens of the Priory Road properties are so small, Allowing customers of the cafe access to the rear garden would necessarily hold the potential for high levels of activity to occur and for the associated noise and disturbance, which is what Councillor Murray was talking about, to happen. Such noise and disturbances would likely hold the potential to have a noticeable deleterious effect given the underlying character of the site's immediate surroundings. And then he concludes by saying that these contributions to the growth of the economy, etc., would be relatively modest. They would not outweigh the significant harm that would be caused to the living conditions of neighbouring occupiers should access to the rear garden be allowed. So that is, I think, a pretty telling report by an inspector. Quite often I don't agree with inspectors, but in this case, I believe the inspector, Andrew Smith, was absolutely correct, and I would suggest rejecting this application for the reasons that he stated.
Thank you.
Councillor Brooks, I believe, wants to speak.
Councillor Brooks, please.
Thank you very much. I've got a question for Mr. Rahman, please. Firstly, in going through the slides, I realise we haven't got much time. The aerial view, is it possible to put that back on and just talk us exactly which gardens are affected? Because it came on screen very, very quickly. And just point at the gardens, if possible. 31, etc., 33.
Is this slide clear?
Is it possible to exactly point to which?
Can you see the
I can see
red laser?
the red laser. No, I can't see a red laser at the moment. Sorry about that. I don't, yeah. Oh, right. Yes.
There it is, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Is it clear now?
Yep.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. And
so these are the three gardens. Garden number 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, thank you. And
is this clear?
Yes, that's fine.
These are the 3 rear gardens.
Yes, the 3 rear gardens. Yeah. Thank you. And is the main reason for putting this application now because of the encouragement to eat outside at the moment because of COVID?
From their view, that is one of the reasons why they did make the application. But officers have considered the short-term benefit of current restrictions, but we did consider the long-term harm in terms of noise disturbance to adjoining occupiers. So that's set out in the agenda.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, if there is one?
I can't see any other speakers. Are there anybody?
Okay, so that's fine. So we can take this now to a formal vote.
Okay. Right. As before, I'll read your name out. If you can say your name first and then if you're for, against or abstaining. Okay, Councillor Baldwin.
Councillor Baldwin, against.
Councillor Beales.
Councillor Amy Beales, against.
Councillor Brooks.
You're muted, Rose. Councillor Brooks, you were muted.
Sorry, against this application. My apologies.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Heap.
Councillor Heap, against.
Councillor Bob Jennings.
Councillor Bob Jennings, against.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Judy Jennings, against.
Councillor Kaufman.
Councillor Kaufman, against.
Councillor Lyon.
Councillor Lyon, against.
Councillor Mead.
Councillor Mead, against.
Councillor Murray.
Councillor Stephen Murray, against.
Councillor Neville.
Councillor Stephen Neville, against.
Councillor Patel.
Councillor Patel against.
Councillor Chris Pond.
Councillor Chris Pond against.
Councillor Caroline Pond.
Caroline Pond against.
Councillor Chris Roberts.
Councillor Chris Roberts against.
Councillor Deborah Roberts.
Councillor Deborah Roberts against.
Councillor Sandler.
Councillor Sandler against.
Councillor Wixley.
Councillor Wixley against.
Councillor Rackham.
Thank you. I'm against.
And finally, Councillor Cher Bernier.
Councillor Cher Bernier against.
That's your unanimous against, Chairman.
So this application is refused.
No, Chairman, it's just not been granted. We need someone to give a reason.
Sorry, it's not been granted.
Yeah.
Can we have a member to make a proposal to refuse the application, citing valid planning grounds?
Councillor Chris Pond.
And a seconder?
Yeah. Councillor Stephen Murray.
So
I would suggest the following reasons for refusal. Which are that any contribution made to the economy of the High Road would be modest and would not outweigh the significant harm that would be caused to the living conditions of neighbouring occupiers in Priory Road should any access to the rear application site's rear garden be allowed.
So can we go to the vote on that?
Yeah. Sorry, Chairman, I missed who seconded it.
Councillor Stephen
Murray.
Okay, thank you. Right, with those conditions.
Sorry, Chair, can I come in?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on page 35 of the agenda, the previous reason for refusal is mentioned. Are members happy with the wording of that reason for refusal? It's on page 35 of the agenda under summary of representations under the Loughton Town Council's comments.
I'd move that we continue with the reasons stated and take a vote on that.
So we can take a vote on any contribution to the High Road would be modest and sounds like insufficient as well. So can we take a vote on that?
Okay, and this is Councillor Pond's reasons, yeah? Okay, again, I shall read your name out and please say your name and where you're for, against, refusal. Councillor Baldwin.
Councillor Baldwin for the refusal.
Councillor Beales.
Councillor Amy Beales for.
Councillor Brooks.
For refusing, thank you.
Councillor Heap.
For refusing.
Councillor Bob Jennings.
For.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Judy Jennings for refusal.
Councillor Kaufman.
Councillor Kaufman for refusal.
Councillor Lyon.
Councillor Lyon for refusing.
Councillor Mead.
Councillor Mead for refusing.
Councillor Murray.
Councillor Stephen Murray for refusal.
Councillor Neville.
Councillor Stephen Neville for refusal.
Councillor Patel.
For refusal.
Councillor Chris Pond.
Chris Pond for refusal.
Councillor Caroline Pond.
Caroline Pond for the refusal.
Councillor Chris Roberts.
Councillor Chris Roberts for refusal.
Councillor Deborah Roberts.
Councillor Deborah Roberts for refusal.
Councillor Sandler.
Councillor Sandler for refusal.
Councillor Wixley.
Yep, Councillor Wixley for the refusal.
Councillor Rackham.
Councillor Rackham for.
And Councillor Cher Bernier.
Councillor Cher Bernier for refusal.
That's unanimous against, Chairman. It's been refused.
So that application is refused.
Madam Chairman, do we have to suggest a way forward?
And now
Because
I'd like to, you've just jumped to it there. Just like to look at a way forward.
Madam Chairman, I
Members.
move there is no way forward which would involve use of the rear guard.
Anybody else like to comment on that?
I would endorse that point, Chairman. I can't see that there's any way forward in that location for the use of the rear garden.
So two members have said that there isn't a way forward. So I think that application has not met the criteria, and we as a subcommittee have refused it.
Okay.
Next application, EPF/3002/20, 47 Ticehurst Hill, Loughton, IG10 1BZ. So we have no speakers on this application. And members.
No, planning officer takes us through it, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to share my screen.
Officer.
Are the slides visible?
Yeah.
Okay. This application is for minor amendments to a previous approved scheme. I will go through them in detail later on. This is the location plan. So these are the floor plans. On the left-hand side is the approved ground floor plan. On the right-hand side is the proposed ground floor plan. Members can see at the bottom here, they're proposing to square off the rear extension and alter the terrace layout. This is the approved loft plan on the left-hand side. This is the proposed loft plan on the right-hand side. So the main changes, they've got rid of the rear-facing gable end and they're proposing a rear dormer. And they're proposing to alter the front roof lights. So on the left-hand side is the approved roof plan. You can see the 4 roof lights at the bottom. And they're proposing 3 roof lights at a different location. And to the rear is the proposed rear dormer. And then the roof plan of the proposed rear extension. So on the top hand, on the top is the approved front layout, front elevation plan. And at the bottom is the proposed front elevation. So the main change to the front is the relocation of the front roof lights. To the left-hand side is the approved rear elevation, and to the right is the proposed rear elevation. And the main change is the proposed rear dormer and the proposed rear extension and the alteration to the terrace. The previous application did involve a basement extension, which is no longer present within the scheme. This is a side elevation. So on the left is the approved right-hand side elevation. And on the right is the proposed. This is the other side elevations approved here to the left and proposed to the right.
Yeah, good.
So to the top is the street scene of the host house. And to the bottom is the rear elevation. Both these pictures show the adjoining neighbors to either side. This is an aerial view. This is from a different angle. The merits of the scheme are set out in the report, and officers are recommending this application subject to conditions. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Members.
Chair, we have Councillor Kaufman that wishes to speak.
Councillor Kaufman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So I'm one of the ward councillors, so thank you for letting me go first. Can I just ask the officers, the approved scheme, which is EPF 162218, does this new application increase the ridge line? That's my first question. And after that, can I come back with a further couple of comments, please?
Yes, Councillor. There's no change to the roof height. Only change to the front is the relocation of the free roof lights, and to the rear is the proposed rear dormer. There's no increase in the roof height.
Thank you. And I'm presuming that that application dated 18 has not been implemented, but it is a current. It is a live and extant consent.
That is correct.
Okay, so there's nothing we can do in effect about the ridge line. So the comments really are only limited to the proposals of this application, which there's not that much to one can say. I do think the dormer design is actually quite respectful, because we have seen some horrific dormers before us. This is not one of them, because it doesn't go right to the ridge line. It seems subservient to the roof. I'm unsure about roof lights fronting the street scene. I don't know how other members would feel about that. I don't feel that strongly about it. The main issue, the main comments are the bulk, but really I think that's already been taken away from us because it's got a current application approved. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Wixley wishes to speak.
Councillor Wixley, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just a couple of points. There's reference to loss of daylight and overshadowing. I just wonder if the officer could comment on that. And my other point is that there isn't a working time condition attached to this, and it does seem to me as if there's going to be quite a lot of work involved, probably more than the application we just dealt with that was in Chigwell. So I would think it would be possibly beneficial to have a working time condition attached to this one.
Yep. In terms of the loss of light, they are due to the orientation of the property. There is going to be some loss of light to secondary windows, so windows to stairs and bathrooms. They're not habitable rooms, so they're not afforded protection against any loss of light. And that's set out on the in the officer's report. And refusing on loss of light to secondary windows is not sufficient reason that will stand up at appeal.
What about my other comment regarding working time?
I mean, they have the current permission which they can implement. There's no reason why we can't add on the standard working time to this application.
Members are in agreement with that, then I'd like that to be added. But Obviously, it depends on the rest of the committee.
And second.
It looks like we're getting a lot of nods and thumbs up, Chairman. So I believe we can add that, unless anyone disagrees. No, I think we can add that. Then,
Okay,
Chairman.
we can add on working time condition.
Okay.
And any other speakers?
Yes, Chair. We have Councillor Pond next, please.
Councillor Pond, please.
Chairman, when this house was built in 1938, it was probably quite a modest and attractive house in the street scene. Now it's a great, with the consent sought, it seems to me a very blocky, bulky brute of a house. But however, that is not unusual for Ticehurst Hill. There are a number of other properties very similarly treated, and I think we would be on shaky ground to refuse it on the basis of design. However, Councillor Wixley has omitted to add to his working time condition his usual worry about wheel washing. And I would actually move for a wheel washing plant condition because the ground here is very boggy and has been all throughout the winter. And I think it's necessary to avoid contamination of the highway.
Thank you. So
We can add that condition if members agree to it.
I second it.
Yeah. Nobody's.
Are we all agreeing, or do we have to go to the vote?
I don't think
No, agreeing.
Everyone's agreeing, Chairman. Yeah.
So that wheel washing condition is added.
Yep.
Next.
Councillor Sandler, please.
Councillor Sandler.
Thank you, Chairman. It's really basically agreeing with what's been said by Councillor Pond, Councillor Wixley, etc. But I have a memory at the back of my mind that this has been discussed on numerous occasions through many years, and I thought it was going to be a set standard that every application for building of any description was going to have time limits and wheel washing automatically included. I'd like this to be reintroduced, seeing as it seems to have been taken off.
That was my memory.
Thank you.
So that's good to have those two conditions, everyone agreeing. Any other comments, please?
Councillor Stephen Murray, please. Chair.
Councillor Murray.
Thank you, Chairman. Like other members, I'm not a planning expert, and probably I've got less expertise than quite a lot of other members here tonight. But I always think to myself about what is reasonable. And this was quite a balanced application. But I thought, preparing for the meeting, obviously don't make my final decision until I hear the officers' report and other members' contribution. But I thought, on balance, it would have been it's reasonable to grant this application. And now that I've heard Councillor Kaufman and Councillor Pond and other members, I'm even stronger in that view that I think on this we should be saying yes. It would be unreasonable to do anything else.
Thank you. Any other comments from
No other
members?
speakers that I can see.
No other speakers. Right, so those two conditions are embedded in going forward, and we will take this to the vote.
Thank you, Chairman. This is to grant permission, so same as always, please. Councillor Baldwin.
Yes, Councillor Baldwin 4.
Councillor Beales.
Councillor Amy Beales 4.
Councillor Brooks.
Councillor Brooks is for this application.
Councillor Heap.
Councillor Heap for the application.
Councillor Bob Jennings.
Councillor Bob Jennings 4.
Councillor Judy Jennings.
Councillor Judy Jennings 4.
Councillor Kaufman.
Councillor Kaufman 4.
Councillor Lyon.
Councillor Lyon 4.
Councillor Mead.
Councillor Mead 4.
Councillor Murray.
Councillor Stephen Murray 4.
Councillor Neville.
Councillor Stephen Neville 4.
Councillor Patel.
Councillor Patel 4.
Councillor Chris Pond,
Councillor Chris Pond for.
Councillor Caroline Pond,
Councillor Caroline Pond 4.
Councillor Chris Roberts,
Councillor Chris Roberts 4.
Councillor Deborah Roberts,
Councillor Deborah Roberts 4.
Councillor Sandler,
Councillor Sandler, 4.
Councillor Wixley,
Councillor Wixley 4.
Councillor Rackham,
Councillor Rackham 4.
and Councillor Cher Bernier.
Councillor Cher Bernier 4.
And that's a unanimous 4. So it's granted, Chairman.
So that application has been agreed. That was our last application of the evening. And I would like to thank everyone for their contribution.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Chair.
I'd
Good
like
night.
to,
Thank
I'd
you,
like
good
to
night all.
clear